Hello everybody, this is Jason Weeb, the Dungeon Plunger, and today we're going to do a little solo gaming. I'm going to make a Shadowdark character, and we're going to go and see what we see. So, as you can see here, I got a map of the Sword Coast that comes in the basic beginner's box for D&D 5e. And I got a little bro here. Gonna mark my passage. You can't really see it very well where the hexes are on here, but essentially the idea is so I am in a I'm in a solo Discord, and one of the things that we're doing is a book club, and so basically we're going to be looking at different RPGs and running them solo. And so the last one we did was Starforged, Ironsworn Starforged, and this time we're doing Shadowdark. So I have my handy dandy Shadowdark book here, and I'm going to create a character. So the idea that I had was, for a while now, I've been wanting to play a ranger that's going through the woods and sort of like exploring, and I really like this Neverwinter wood map. I just imagine to myself like what's here, you know, and you say to yourself like 5 mile hexes is what this is supposed to be. What's in here, you know? So and I know what you guys are saying. You're like, dude, are you like one of those Dritz Duerden freaks? And, you know, maybe I am. You know, what are you gonna do? You gonna come here and beat me up? So I like R.A. Salvatore and Dritz Duerden. You know what? I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, so the idea that I had was I'm gonna make a ranger, and technically there is no ranger in Shadowdark, but basically I'm gonna make a fighter, and because I know how dangerous Shadowdark can be at the early levels, I'm gonna do a few things. So I'm gonna give my dude a companion. I wanted to give him like a wolf companion, and also I'm gonna make his hit points a little higher, just because that's what I do as a rule in my games. So anyway, we'll go through and we'll figure out how we're gonna do this. So first up, let's open up the book here. This isn't my first time doing this, guys. I've been here a few times, you know what I'm saying? But step 1. So the first thing that we got to do is we got to roll 3d6, and it says to do them in order, and then, you know, note the modifier. Now, here's the thing. I mean, I want to make a ranger. It would be all nice if we want to be like, hey, what kind of a character are we gonna get? But in this case, I already have an idea, so I don't really think it makes sense to roll in order, unless we wanted to do something like fancy dancy, like, oh, you've got crappy stats, so let's see what kind of special character we make, you know? But anyway, first one up, looks like we got 11, 14. So what we're gonna do, just gonna mark these down here. So 14, we got 11, 12. Oops, not in the dice container, doesn't count. And we got 8, 9, and got 12. And we got 14, and one more time. And we got 12, 14. Alright. That's pretty freaking good stats, man. So, I'm going to say that he's got a great dexterity. Whoops. We'll put this here. So one of the things when I was talking to my players, one of my new groups, and they were like, I was explaining to them about how really it's just the modifiers that are important when you're playing this game. And they were kind of like, okay, so what's the deal with like rolling up these stats? And I was like, you're 100% right. It doesn't make any sense. And, you know, I think if I was going forward with the game, I would probably just get rid of these numbers because they're not really all that useful. Okay, so 14 is a +2 modifier. I mean, that's really the number that matters, right? We're also going to give him a 14 strength. And we're going to give him a 14 constitution because he's always hanging out in the woods. And we'll give him a, should we just do it, put it in the dump stat? Nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to say his intelligence, because he's not really educated per se, right? So he's got a -1 intelligence because he hasn't been educated in the ways of the city people. But he does have a decent wisdom because he's kind of wise in that way. And he's got sort of like a country bumpkin loner dude kind of charisma. So +1 for that. All right. Also, I want him to be human. That I already knew. So basically they get an additional common language. So his ancestry is human. His class is going to be fighter. And I'm going to make him level 3 just because he's solo and I would like him to last a little while. So human, he knows common. Do we have a place for languages on the sheet? Yeah, here we go. So common and another one. All right. Then, oh, also he's ambitious. So we gain 1 additional talent roll at level 1. +1 talent roll. Level 1. Alright. Oh, if you heard that, that's my dog. He's hanging out next to me, little Loki. And yeah, we're playing Shadowdark together. And alright. So, fighter class. We're proficient with all weapons. And all armors and shields. And he gets 1d8 hit points per level. So what I do in my games is I basically say you get to have your constitution score, and then you add that with whatever your hit dice is that you roll. So let's roll a d8. Get rid of these d6s here. Alright, so 7. Where's my little scrappy paper? Right, so 7, 4, so that's 11, and another 4, so 15. So 15, and then he's got a constitution of 14, so we're going to add 14 hit points, which is going to give him a total of 29 hit points. So I'm just going to put that up here. I don't know why they don't give you a little... So I'm using a different character sheet than what's in the book. I'm not really super happy with the character sheet that comes in it. I really don't like. I think my biggest issue with all the character sheets that I've seen so far is they don't really give you a lot of room for your gear, and I feel like because gear management is such an important part of Shadowdark in some level, that they should have a better way of handling gear. I especially like the way Karen does it when it comes to slots, because it allows you to have like, so like your backpack and your cart, and so you have slots for all those things. So yeah, I think it would be nice to have a nice gear sheet. And this is something when it comes to like character sheets in general that I have an issue with. Maybe I'm just very particular when it comes to character sheets, but I haven't really seen a lot of character sheets that like live up to what I would like to have a character sheet look like. So anyway, I'm just gonna put a little line here. So 29 is max, so I'll just write max here. And we so we know this. So hauler, so we can add constitution modifier if positive to your gear slots. So I'm pretty sure that I always forget this, but I want to say it's 10, or your constitution score is how many that you're allowed to have when it comes to gear slots. And starting gear, armor class, basic gear slots. You can carry a number of items equal to your strength stat, or 10, whichever is higher. Okay, so we've got a strength 14, and we've got grit, or we got hauler, so we're gonna add 2, so that means we got a maximum of 16 gear slots. So grit plus 2 gear slots. And weapon mastery. So we choose one type of weapon, such as long swords, and we gain a +1 to attack and damage with that weapon. In addition, add half your level to these rolls rounded down. So that would be 1.5. So 1. So that would mean that we got a +2. Does that make sense? 3 divided by 2 is 1.5 rounded down. So +1. In addition, add half your level to these rolls rounded down. So I'm going to say, if I understand this right, we've got +2 automatically to the weapon mastery. And I'm going to say that he is an archer, because that's sort of how I was imagining him. So we're going to say longbow. And I also kind of had this idea of like Aragorn, you know, how he was raised by the elves, and he was a ranger, and he hung out in the woods and stuff, and, you know, so anyway, that's kind of, I don't know why I've had this idea about being a ranger, but that's sort of where I'm at. All right, and then we got grit. Choose strength or dexterity. You have advantage checks on that type to overcome an opposing force. So I'm going to say we have, oh, I wrote the wrong thing here. I put grit instead of hauler. So here, hauler, and then grit. So we're going to say he's dexterous. Advantage, dex. And we get to roll 2 times, because I'm pretty sure when you go up a level, it's the 3rd level where you're rolling for your level advancement. Yeah, so when you go to level 3, you roll again on the talents. So we get to roll 3 times for talents. So let's see what we got in terms of talents. All right, let's get some D6s here. So first talent, 6. Add +1 to melee and ranged attacks. And let's do it again here. 11. Choose one kind of armor. You get +1 AC from that armor. +1 AC, and then we'll leave that blank. And one more time. 6. So again, we get to add, so we're going to add another +2. So this dude's going to be a pretty badass, like, dude. So +2 and +2. Alright. So also, they have these sections for like titles and things like that, but I'm not really. Also, we gotta choose if we're lawful or neutral. I'm gonna say he's neutral. I'm not a really big fan of alignment. I don't really understand why they put it in here. I think it's maybe to harken back to the fact that this is sort of supposed to be like an old school Renaissance style thing. And then they got like these titles, but they just don't seem to like match with this concept that I have of a ranger. But you know what? I'm just gonna write, because it's my game. I'm gonna write he's a freaking ranger. And then we got a background. Backgrounds. Alright, so for backgrounds, we roll a d20. Where's the d20? How come I'm missing a d20? Oh, there it is. Oh, I'm using a magic die. And so that right there, that knife is from Karlov Manor. And that means it's natty 20, baby. Ooh, surgeon. You know anatomy, surgery, and first aid. So I'm guessing. So, surgeon. I'm guessing that he learned from somebody how to do this kind of stuff. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's ask the oracle. So, one of the oracles. So I got these funky dice here from. I got these from the Tales of Argosa Kickstarter, and I really wanted to use them, so that's why I'm going to use them for this. So, we're going to ask the question, did he learn his surgeon abilities from the elves? So, Hammer of Justice, I believe that's what that's called. Yeah, Hammer of Judgment, that's this one here. And these are the Twins of Fate. So, because we got a yes and a yes, so double yeses is a greater. So he definitely learned it from the elves. However, the skull icon here is a fortune die, which means it's a complication. So I think that he learned... Excuse me, sorry. So, I think that he learned from the elves his surgeon abilities and first aid and anatomy, but I think that he killed somebody by accident while he was doing this. So, we'll make a little note here. Surgeon... Surgeon. I'll make a little note here. Accidentally killed patient? Question mark. Learned from elves. So, we're not going to use the Forgotten Realms. We're going to be making up our own little story about what's going on here with the Neverwinter Woods and Neverwinter and all that kind of stuff. So if you don't know anything about Forgotten Realms, that's not a big deal. If you do know stuff about Forgotten Realms, you can just forget that stuff, bro. Alright? Okay. And deity. You know what? I am going to steal one of the deities from Forgotten Realms. And I am going to say that Miliki. I don't even know how you spell it. Miliki. But basically, like a god of the rangers and nature and stuff like that. So I'm just going to say that and whatever. Okay, so the last thing, or almost last thing we need to do, we need to give this bro a name. So let's see. Let's find a name. Hold on a second here. Remember, folks, you should always be prepared when you're running these things, because sometimes you need to come up with a name, and then what are you going to do? And I should have had... Usually I have a list of names with me here, but let's see. And, you know, the other thing is, I'm not using the Shadowdark... Oh, you know what I have? I have this thing here. I bet you this has names in it. The Universal NPC Emulator. So let's see if this has things for names in here. Don't know. But yeah, I'm not using the Shadowdark solo stuff because I find it's pretty craptastic. I don't really find that there's a lot, and that's no offense to Kelsey, but I just didn't feel like it was particularly very robust. What about Knave? Does Knave have names? What's this here? Animals? Powers? Sense? Weakness? Assets? Mannerisms? Relationships? Personalities? Oh, here we go. Names. Alright. So, first of all, I imagine that it was a dude, but maybe it's not a dude. So, I'm gonna say we're gonna give him a 50-50 chance at being a dude. So we're gonna roll this d6. 1 to 3, it's a dude, and 4 to 6, it is a lady. Okay, so it's a lady. So now let's roll on this table here. So it's a D100 table. So let's take our little D100s, give them a little shaky. And we got 30. 30 is Ella. Alright, so Ella the Ranger. Let's see if she has a last name. So they have this surname table here, which is kind of interesting. But I don't know if I really... Let's see what we get. So let's take from the first one. So 41 is Ferns. And second part, 16 is Castle, Ferns Castle. Interesting. Alright, so let's just do our equipment. We'll leave the little Knave book here. This is the one that I'm using. Eventually I want to run this. I've been told by one of my players that I don't give Knave enough love. So I'm going to have to rectify that. Alright, so going back to the Shadowdark book, we need to get some stuff. I think basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a crawling kit, some armor, and a couple of weapons. Okay, so first of all, we get a bonus for our armor. So we're going to get leather armor. Technically, chainmail would be better, but alright. So we got Dex plus 11. Our Dex is plus 2. Plus we get an extra plus 1 AC. So that makes it 13, 14. So AC 14. Leather. And then we're going to give them a longbow. So longbow, which gets a plus 4 and does a d8. And whoops, I'm looking at the wrong thing, but that's what it is. Type, ranged, far, and it's two-handed. And then we're gonna get a longsword, which is a d8 as well. Which gives a plus 2. Oh yeah, and we get plus 2 to damage for this. And plus 2. Plus I think we're supposed to add our strength to the attack, if I'm not mistaken. I think we're supposed to add strength and dex. Hello. Maybe we should learn the rules, brah. You know what I'm saying, man? You know what I'm saying, I say? I don't know what I'm saying, you know? Oh yeah, and also... I know that you don't add your strength and dex to damage like you do in 5th edition, but attacks. The weapons you wield, blah blah blah, 88, page 88. Just double check this. Okay, so strength modifier for melee. Alright, so we got plus 2 strength, so, and we got plus 2 dex. Alright, so we got plus 6 and plus 4. And let's go back to the weapons. We're also going to give him a dagger. So 1d4. d4. And he gets a plus 4. And it is a finesse weapon, so you can use either one, range, close, or near. Longbow is, or longsword is close. And alright. And then crawling kit. So we're gonna go, he's got a backpack, which I think you get a backpack for free. Flint and steel. And then he's got 2 torches. Torches take up a slot. So 2 torches, 3 rations take up 1. Times 3. Iron spikes. Would he have iron spikes? Maybe. You never know. And grappling hook and 60 feet of rope. And let's see here. Sometimes what I like to do is I like to roll on this table here of like gear, random gear, but I don't think we're gonna do it. I'm just wondering if like maybe he had to like leave because of what happened, and so that's why he doesn't really have all that much gear, and so he's kind of off into the wilderness by himself. We also have to choose another language, and I'm going to choose Elvish because he learned how to speak Elvish. So Alright. And also, I wanted to give him a companion, which was a wolf. So let's just go to the monster section here. And we'll just put down the wolf stats. So let's give him a little... we also got to give the wolf a name. So, wolf has AC 12, 10 hit points, but you know what? Since it's a special companion, and what is their constitution is +1, and I think that means that it's 12. Let's just double check here. I hope you guys find this enjoyable. I kind of thought maybe I shouldn't have made a character. I should have just made my character and then played like that. But hold on. Yeah, so 12 to 13. So we'll see he's got a hit points of 12 plus 10, so 22 hit points. So HP 22. And then attack. Okay, so we got attack, bite, +2, and it does 1d6, and move, double near, so they're pretty fast. So Shadowdark doesn't use like movement that you find in D&D 5th edition or Pathfinder. It uses more of a theater of the mind style for combat. And we'll just do here. So strength +2. See, for monster stats, it's weird because they don't give you the stats. They just give you the modifiers. So that indicates to me that the actual stat numbers are not as that important, and you know, so constitution +1, and we got intelligence -2, we got wisdom +1, and charisma +0. And it's a level. Oh, it deals +1 damage when ally is close. So we're its ally, so we'll get that if we happen to be fighting beside it. And it's... so we need a name for the wolf. Let's see what we got here in the Knave book. Got some really good tables in this book. Really like this book here. So we got wizard names, elements. You know what? Let's give the wolf an element name. So we need 2d10s. Come on, where is the percentile? Here you are. Alright, so let's see. 61. So 61 for elements is mind reading. I don't know if that really goes with what this wolf... Let's re-roll here. 41. 41 is expanding. Yeah, we're not doing so good on this table. Ooh, how about this one? Forms. No, I don't know if that's good. Oh, you know what? I'm looking on effects and not elements. Okay, so 41 on the actual elements table is incense. But then I saw just above that was ice. So I really like that. So how about ice? So yeah, I imagine that this wolf is like a gray silver color that kind of looks like ice. All right. So now that we got that, let's actually go on an adventure. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go, our dude is in the woods. Is he on patrol, or is he trying to find shelter? Let's find out what the bones say. So let's read the bones. All right. So this means when the hammer of judgment is a yes, it means that it supersedes the no, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just double check that and make sure that we are reading this right. Consulting the bones. So basically the hammer of judgment acts as a tiebreaker when necessary. So yes and no cancel each other out, but if the result is yes or no on the judgment die, then the opposite result on just one of the twins of fate, then the judgment die is the tiebreaker and trumps. So therefore we would ignore the fate die. So yes, in this case, I believe the question is that he's trying to find shelter. All right, so let us take a look. So our character, Ella, she has escaped from her village, which I'm guessing may not be... Is it in the woods? Let's find out. Where is the Elven Village? Is the Elven Village in the Neverwinter Wood? Alright, so the Elven Village is definitely in the woods, and so we are going, and we got a positive here on the fortune die, which means that there's an additional benefit. So I think what that means is that we know where there's a little outpost, a little scouting outpost where scouts go to basically hide, or maybe it's like a cave or something that she found that she's trying to get to in order to get away from her home. So I think that's what it is. So yes, so she's traveling through the woods, traveling through the Neverwinter Wood, and she's trying to find her way there. So the question is, does she have an encounter while she is trying to do this? So that's a great question. How does encounters work here? Oh, you see Loki. Say hi, Loki. Say hey, buddy. Hi. All right. So, as a way of figuring out what we're going to do, we're going to use these cards that I've gotten from, this is also from the Tales of Argosa Kickstarter. They are basically a deck of signs, and we're going to use it to help us figure out what is going on. So these are some tools that I've wanted to use since I saw them on the Kickstarter, and I was like, you know what, I paid for them, I should probably use them, So let's see. So the way you're supposed to use them, you're supposed to draw 2 cards. So we shuffle them up, and then we pick 2 cards here, and then we can figure out what's going on. So we've got our noun, we got our verb, we got an adjective, and we got an ambience. So one of our nouns is alliance, another one is dragon. Interesting. And then we've got engaging, searching. And I'm thinking that we have encountered a group of elves that have made an alliance with a dragon in the woods, and as we've gone along, we have sort of encountered this scenario where there's a group of elves, and they are in a clearing, and they are talking to a tribe of is it a tribe or is it an actual dragon? Let's find out. So I'm thinking lizard folk, or I'm thinking that it's the actual dragon. So are they talking to an actual dragon? Ooh, they are not talking to an actual dragon. So they are talking to emissaries. So we're going to say that they're talking to a bunch of lizard folk who worship the dragon, and these elves have basically encountered them. So the elves are covetous of what the dragon has, and that they want something that the dragon has in his hoard, and therefore they're willing to make an alliance. And I think that they're trying to sell out their tribe. And so now we've got Ella, who's basically, going, oh man, I don't know if I can allow this to happen. So the question is does she get seen while she's doing this and listening to what's going on? So let's give it a little roll-y. Let's get our magic d20, our spin down die, as they like to call them. And I'm going to say that she needs to make a regular stealth check to see if she can hide. So that's a DC 12. And she's got a +2 dexterity. So basically we're looking at 10 or higher. Oh, she got a 1, dude. Okay, so Ella has 100% been noticed as she tries to approach these groups as they're having their discussion. Basically, she's walking along, and then snap, classic, steps on a stick, breaks it, and now the two groups are alerted to her and Ice's presence. Alright, so let's see how many elves and how many lizard folk there are. Now, I'm imagining that there's probably 2d6 of each. So let's see what we see here. Ooh. So we got 11 elves and 4 lizard folk. That seems like a pretty big disparity. But for our sake, that's a pretty big deal. Alright, so does Elle know any of these elves that happen to be here? Let's see what the bones tell us. She very much does. Alright. Is it somebody that's close to Elle? No. So, I'm gonna say that this is a person who is somebody in the community. Maybe she's an enemy with. Let's see what the Let's see what the deck of signs says. Maybe they can give us some sort of inspiration here as to what's going on. All right, so 1, we got cultist preaching, water eroding, protein, clear, holy. So I'm thinking that this is probably a shaman that is worships the water and is considered to be quite revered in the tribe. And so while Elle has never had a good relationship with this person, the rest of the tribe looks at this person as if they're somebody important and worthwhile following. So this is sort of like a shocking revelation to her. Let's see if we can get a name for this particular person. Definitely need some kind of a table full of names for elves. All right, well, let's see here. So first of all, we should actually see how these guys are going to react to Elle. So let's roll. Okay, so first of all, let's get a name. So we're going to go and we're going to see if the shaman is male or female. So that is male. So let's roll it. Let's roll our D100 here. Let's see what we get. I'm not really happy with the names that are on this table here, but we'll use it for now until we can figure out something better. So a male dude, so Rufus. So Rufus is the shaman. All right, so let's see what the reaction of this situation is. So we're gonna roll on the reaction table 2d6. Now this is also from the Tales of Argosa. Okay, so little pause there. Had to get a sweater on. It's freezing down here in the lair, man. All right, let's see what the reaction roll is. So as I was saying before, I'm using the Tales of Argosa reaction roll table, and so we're gonna see 4. So unfriendly, suspicious, disinterested. So this is what's gonna happen. Ella has revealed herself. All right, so Ella kind of has revealed herself, and the Rufus, the shaman of the elves. We should probably have a cool name for this tribe. Like, I don't know. Let's see. Can we find something in the Knave book that's going to give us... Actually, let's see if we can find something in the cards here to see if that can tell us. Let's give these a little shuffle here and pull out 2 cards. Oh, we already got that one. Let's put that one back. Famine, begging, desperate, storm. Ooh, I like that. Let's see. Storm glory, storm king. Storm guardians. How about shadow? That's interesting. How about they are... Maybe there's something related to winter. So How about they're the Winter Storm tribe? All right, there we go. Winter Storm tribe. All right, so the leader, so the shaman Rufus is like, Ella, how long have you been there for? And Ella's like, not that long. She's like, but you fled from the village. We've heard that people have been looking for you. Apparently there was an accident. And she's like, yeah, I was actually out here looking for, I was trying to get my thoughts into my head, and yeah, so I don't know if Rufus is really believing what she's saying or not. So let's see what the elves stat block here. So this guy, he's probably pretty smart. He's probably pretty wise. I'm going to say he's probably got a +4. So I'm going to say that he has to make well, let's make an opposed check here. So she is going to make a charisma check, and he is going to try to like use his wisdom to determine. So her charisma is a total of 10, and so he fails with a 3. Even with his +4 for wisdom, there's no way that so he's like, okay, well, we are just in the middle of a negotiation with these lizard men who have told us that there is there is a territorial dispute, and we are trying to negotiate a peaceful resolution. And I don't know if Ella can really like keep herself together, so we're gonna see if she really believes this or not. So she is actually able to like keep herself together and put on a good kind of a face. Now that was the reaction of the elves, but let's see what the reaction of the lizard folk were. That's an 8. So they are neutral, uncertain, careful, or cautious. So right now they're sort of there, but they haven't really done anything to kind of aggravate the situation. And Ella is like, well, I guess I'll leave you to doing what you need to do. And Rufus is like, no, you'll be coming back with us to the village. And she definitely does not want to go back to the village. She doesn't want to have to deal with the consequences of her actions. And so she is going to try to flee. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll initiative and see if she can react, or who reacts when. Oh, so she got a natty 20. So that puts her at a 22. And the elves got an 11. And they've got a pretty good dex, so that puts them at a 14. And then let's see what the lizard dudes are at. Lizard dudes are at a 14 as well. Alright, so Ella decides that she's going to run off into the woods and try to lose these guys. And so she starts running, and she's got a head start. She's, at least a good 30 feet away from these guys to start with. But these guys do have advantage on dex checks. Ooh, I didn't know that. So maybe they're actually faster. So maybe next time I'll roll and see that. But that's a good thing to know. These guys are good swimmers, and they kind of look like crocodilian humanoids with scaly faces and claws and tails, dwelling in swamps and rivers. So they don't have anything special in terms of like being fast in this particular terrain. So will the elves try to attack at range? So he's a shaman, so maybe he has a spell that he could use, but let's see first of all. Okay, so definitely they will attack because Rufus doesn't want her to get away. All right, so at this point I'm gonna say she's basically moved to far away. So I'm gonna see here. So the elves, let's see what kind of spells he has. I'm just wondering if he has sleep or something. Does Rufus have sleep? He does not have sleep. Alright, so these elves are going to start shooting at her, and there is a bunch of them. So basically what we're going to say is, instead of rolling like a crud load of dice, we're just going to say they have advantage. And that is going to hit. So normally the bow would do a d8. So we're going to see a d8 plus 2. So where's the d8 here? Alright, roll in. So she takes 5 points of damage from one of the arrows from the attack, and she screams in pain and tries to find a place to hide while she's there. So, and I'm gonna say that a 12 with a 14, so basically I'm gonna say they need to oppose her stealth check to be able to like find her. So we're gonna go with a wisdom check with advantage because they're in the forest. Alright, so yeah, they definitely are able to find her, so she isn't able to hide. Now we're going to see if the lizard folks probably aren't going to want to get involved in this, I don't think. So let's just see if the lizard folk decide whether or not they're getting involved. I'm going to say so no, they're definitely not getting involved, and in fact they're getting out of there as fast as they can. So it's just the elves, and they are chasing after her, and she has tried now to escape, and Ice is not happy that now her friend has been wounded, and so he's going to try to create a distraction so that she can escape. So let's see if Ice can attack and do something here. All right, so 12 plus 2 for his bite versus the armor class of 13. So that's a hit. All right, so now one of the things that I do is I have these skull d20 or d6s here, and I call these my Deathbringer dice. I stole this from Professor Dungeon Master, and I basically allow these to be used to add to a skill check, add to damage, or whatever. So, and I use these instead of luck in the game. All right, and I gave her 3 of them. normally in my Shadowdark games that I run, I give my players 2 each, and they tend to like use them all during the game, so gives a little bit more survivability. So, all right. So the elf has 9 hit points, and ice does a d6, but I'm gonna give him an extra d6 Deathbringer dice to deal damage. So 6. So the elf is really badly wounded as ice bites into him, grabbing onto his leg and dragging him down, and Ella continues to run. Now the question is did the arrow hit her in the leg to make it harder for her to move? Maybe I shouldn't be so hard on my character, but you know what? That's what we're gonna do. No, it's a definite no. She was not hit. However, the arrow was poisoned. So now she's taking poison damage every round as she until she gets an antidote. So she's running through the woods. Let's see if she can try to hide again. Now, the thing is that when she was here, she was trying to find the like hideout where the caves. So was she near? Is she near where the caves are? She's not near where the caves are. All right. So she's going to continue to run, but she wants to try and hide. Oh, that's pretty good. So now she's got a 21. So let's see if the elves with their super sight can see her. Also, she's going to take 6 points of d6 damage from the poison from the arrow. So she takes another 2 points of damage. That puts her 7 damage so far. All right, let's see. Oh, so they rolled really badly, and she has now lost them in the woods. But so she's hiding in the brush, and the elves walk past her with their bows drawn and searching for her, and they're going, "Can you see her? Where has she gone? She's got to be around here somewhere. Keep your eyes peeled." But Ella keeps quiet and lays beneath a bush, seeing that the elves are approaching nearby. While this is going on, another 6 point or d6, so she takes another 4 points of damage as the poison does its work on her, and she knows that if she doesn't find some herbs to like basically neutralize the poison, then she is probably going to die from this poison. Now, the question is, how long do these guys stay there for, looking for her? So, I think what's going to happen is that Ice decides, because he's a pretty smart wolf, he's going to try to lead the elves off so that, you know, they'll chase after him instead of after Ella. So the elves are chasing. Let's see if it's successful. So what will we do for this? Does the distraction work? That is a yes. So the elves chase after Ice, and Ice leads them on a merry chase, and Ella is there again. She's going to take another d6 as this is occurring, 2 more points of damage. She's now taken 13 points of damage so far, almost at half of her hit points. So she decides, I need to do something. She feels like the coast is clear, and she starts looking around the forest to see if she can find what she needs to find. And she is going to use her she is going to use her wisdom to see if she can find herbs to make a poultice to be able to like heal her, or at least to stop the poison. So she has a +1 to wisdom, and she also is a surgeon. So she does have certain like training on this kind of stuff. So I'm going to say that she can roll with advantage, but she needs a 15 to succeed. So let's see. And she succeeds. So she finds the right herbs, the king's foil, and takes it and puts it in her mouth and chews it up and makes it into a paste and pulls the arrow out and puts the poultice in and applies a bandage. Pulling the arrow out and everything, though, is going to cause more trauma. So she takes another 3 points of damage. Alright, so at this point, Ella is alone in the Neverwinter woods, and she has bandaged her wound, and she has taken quite a bit of damage, and now not only is she afraid to go back to her tribe because of what's happened with her training, but now she knows some sort of like secret that's going on between Rufus and this emissaries of a dragon that live in the Neverwinter Wood. And that is where we'll end tonight's story. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to my first attempt at a YouTube video and a solo role-playing. This was me doing Shadowdark by Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library. They just had a massive Kickstarter. I'm sure everybody at this point knows about Shadowdark and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't have a lot of experience doing solo, so this is my first real like solo sort of adventure, and I'm kind of curious to see where it goes. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think I did a good job running solo, and if you think that anything that I can improve for the stream or do better, let me know. Thank you very much, and plungers up, elbows up. Remember, you can listen to my podcast, the Dungeon Plunger Podcast, available where all great podcasts are, and make sure you give a likes and a thumbs up, and leave a review on Apple and Spotify. Anyway, take it easy. Till next time.